All right, so we're just let your videos play through here so you can see what we're looking like. And then over here. Okay, so if you get both of these back to the start. Okay, so if we just start with the side view, we got a good high leg lift that's on a good slight angle back, which allows our front hip to be out in front, because this is what we want to lead the way with as we go down and out. Okay, so we've gotten ourselves into a position to be able to do the next movement very well, which we do. We can see that the hip leads the way out. The hip leads the way out, we stay closed, and we're getting ourselves into a good, strong position with this backside. Okay, we're real good here. Our front leg, we can see the foot, the toe is trying to stay behind the heel. The toe is behind the heel. As long as that toe stays behind the heel, our front leg will not open. Okay? We don't want this front leg to open until the last possible second. So your foot is doing a good job of keeping the rest of your leg closed. Okay? The only thing is if we notice, once the foot gets in front of this front hip, the front foot is going to start taking over and wanting us to go into the ground early. So we can see right at this point in time, right here, our foot now is in front of our hip. And this foot has gotten in front of our hip pretty early, pretty quickly. Because now that foot's out in front, and even though our weight is back, this front foot being so far in front of that front hip is going to force our weight to want to go forward too soon, too quickly. Because now our foot's in the ground, and we haven't had time yet to rotate our backside. Okay, your back foot wants to. Your back foot is just about to start rotating, but it's too late. The front foot's in the ground. If we take this a couple more frames, boom. Now we are exactly where we want to be if this front foot had just now hit the ground. Just with our lower half we're talking, okay? Just our lower half now. We are in the perfect position for when we get into front foot strike, which means this foot hits the ground for the first time. Unfortunately, we didn't get into this position until foot strike. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 frames. I can even give you 10 frames. 10 frames too late. Okay? So 10 frames, how much time is that? That is the difference between that quick. All right, so that's how much sooner we have to start rotating our lower body. Or, like I was talking about, we don't let this front leg get in front of the front hip as quickly. Because like we said, once that front foot gets in front of that front hip, boom, once this happens, you have a very limited amount of time until this foot hits the ground. So if our backside needs just a little bit more time for it to go through its full rotation before our foot hits, we need to keep this foot behind our front hip for that much longer. All right, let me show you some examples of that from some big leaguers here. I'm going to try to find some names that you know of. How about David Price? Hopefully you've heard of that name. He's been around forever. Here's when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays. It's not the greatest angle, but that foot is going to stay behind. And now it's out in front, and it's just a little bit longer. Let's get a better angle here. Felix Hernandez, maybe a little bit too much of an older name for you, but his nickname is King Felix for a reason. So we're going to watch this nice high leg lift on that slight angle back like we talked about that you do real well. But now let's watch how long it takes before that front foot. Now it's out in front. Okay? Now let's compare some things to see how much further he's gone before this is out in front. If we look from his foot to his hip, is this pretty good angle here. You kind of have a little angle, but it's more from the knee to the hip. He's gotten his body further to about right here, about this angle, and his foot has just now gotten in front of his hip. If we look at you with this backside angle matching Felix's, how much further your front foot is out in front. And we can see the further that foot gets out in front, the sooner these shoulders level out. Oops. So if we look here, we have a nice little shoulders down, shoulders up. This one's a little bit higher. Shoulder up, this one's down a little bit from that. Felix is able to keep that angle for longer because his foot doesn't go out in front as early. As soon as your foot goes out in front, like we said, your weight wants to start going forward now, which means this shoulder is not going to be able to stay up. It's going to have to go down. Okay, let's look at another pitcher. Jacob deGrom. None of those are slow motion enough. Jose Fernandez. Nah, you wouldn't. He wasn't alive for very long. But this is going to be a really good example of that. So his leg has already came up, and it's already going down at this point. But just look how far he's able to get down that mound. He started here, and he's all the way out to here before that foot gets out in front. Okay. Let's find another guy. Kyle Wright. Hopefully you've heard of this name. Most wins in the big leagues this year. This is his second or third year in the big leagues. First year that he stayed on the big league team start to finish. He was one of the Braves' best pitchers, and you'll be able to see him in the postseason here. So there's that nice high leg lift and that slight angle back so the hip's out in front. So he can lead with that hip. And look how long he's able to go down the mound before that foot finally gets out in front. So again, there's that angle of how far that hip is away from that rubber compared to how close your hip is to that rubber before that foot gets out in front. Okay? So in our session next week, we're going to work on how do we get this leg to come down and not go down and out. We don't want it to be going down and out. We want it to be going more down, 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 and then start going out. All right? So like we said, all we need is that much difference in time. So we can see from the top of his leg lift, top of your leg lift, very similar positions. But then Kyle Wright can go, that foot's going straight down as the hips are going out. As your leg's going down, it's also going out towards the target. So you're just getting that foot to be further out in front by how the leg's going down. So that's what we'll work on next week.